This Cardano move has been fun. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I know the question on your mind is probably very similar to what's on my mind. Is this going to continue? Can this keep going? Can Cardano keep going? Even in the immediate short term, can we hit 40 cents? Can we see a 40-cent ADA? Or is it getting ready to plummet? And if you've been around in crypto, I know you're bracing for it, because these are the types of things that happen after we get these crazy moves to the upside. This is a 6-hour chart. This is what it looks like. This is it's a 6-hour chart, but it's such an important, crucial thing that has just taken place in the last couple of weeks from a macro perspective. When we're talking about bear cycle into bull cycle, what's happening here on the 6-hour, this was so necessary, and I'm going to break it down for you in this video. I'm also going to talk about targets, what to look out for going into this brand new week, but it is a brand new week, and we're going to start on the weekly because something very special just happened. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's just break it down. Let's just talk about the special thing that just happened, and then we're going to slowly dig into the charts, dig into targets, all that good stuff. This 50-week moving average, we got a weekly close above the 50-week moving average. Why is that such a big deal? Well, the last time it happened, first off, was back here, and that was back in around April of 2023. And that's significant back then in this macro shift. I know we were covering these moving averages being broken to the upside. Huge thing happening back here in terms of the macro shift from bear to bull. But in terms of time frame and the cycles and where we are in the cycles, we were still very much in the bear market, right? We didn't start entering this red rectangle, which is kind of this area of accumulation. This is the pivot point leading out of the bear into the next bull cycle, and then obviously into the Bitcoin halving on this chart. This time around, that's where we are. We're towards the end of this red rectangle. We're getting ready to enter this last accumulation area, this last accumulation phase before the next Bitcoin halving. And we're in a very similar area, similar time frame environment that Cardano was in back here. And this was the last time it crossed above the 50-week moving average in this similar fashion. This was February 2020. Now, this was just a little bit less than a year before the bull market started in November 2020. But this move right here, you can notice from a time frame perspective happening after this red rectangle, well, we're getting the 50-week moving average. We're getting that weekly close. We're still in the red rectangle. What this tells me Cardano is ahead of the game. And I'm going to break down on the daily chart why I think that is so true from a technical analysis perspective. But put technical analysis aside for a second. Cardano is ahead of the game. Cardano is ahead of where it was this time last cycle. So it kind of makes sense, meaning Shelley staking and the staking mechanism didn't even come online until post-halving of 2020. So back here, Cardano was just the groundwork, the foundation that was laid. We didn't have the staking mechanism. We didn't have the multi-asset ledger that came with Mary hard fork. We didn't have smart contracts and Alonzo. We didn't have the beginnings of scalability on Cardano and everything that's going on with governance right now. We didn't have any of it. This time we do. The fact that we're getting this pivot, this very big signal, this break above the 50-week moving average at this point of the game, a little earlier than the last cycle, makes sense to me. I want to say, now we wait. There's no guarantee Cardano is going to stay above the 50-week moving average, but this move above it and the close above it, huge in this anchor, this pivot of cycles. We're going to monitor the 20-week moving average down there around 28 cents. This is going to become important in around a minute or two. And we're also going to monitor the 50-week moving average around 31, 32 cents. That's this week, right? Let's see how this new weekly candle closes. We still have 6 days, 23 hours. This is all just happening. Now let me point something out to you that is extremely bullish in terms of what just happened. Notice, back here we just discussed the last time Bitcoin in the last cycle broke above that 50-week moving average and closed above the 50-week. Notice what it was doing then. It was putting in bullish divergence, meaning this was on the RSI a higher high as we were getting just this lower high on price, right? Some bullish divergence found in that momentum chart right there, this slower moving momentum oscillator, the RSI. Bullish divergence right there. What's happening now? Well, from this swing high back here, ADA still putting in this lower high, but what's happening on the RSI? It's a higher high. So we're getting a very similar move right now. Now, things become exciting right now for two reasons. Number one, it's not only exciting because ADA is making the move a little earlier, meaning we're in this red rectangle. Last time it happened pretty much months after exiting the red rectangle. But if we go to the daily chart, and this is back then, right, in 2020, here's the move that we just looked at on the weekly. This is what it looks like on the daily. You know how I'm always talking about, if you watch my videos, the COVID dip? Man, I'm always just like, I wonder what would have happened with crypto in general if this didn't happen. What would have Cardano done? What would have Bitcoin done? What would have all of crypto done? What would the charts look like? Would Cardano have just come down and put in a higher low? Would it have just tested previous lows and just not capitulated as much? What would have happened? Well, check out the daily chart here and start also noticing how overbought the daily RSI was when ADA was ready to consolidate. And we're talking about the same exact, very similar move ADA is doing right now. Check this out on the daily chart right now. Here's the daily chart for ADA. Very similar move to the upside, parabolic move to the upside. And look at the RSI. Very overbought, right? So if you look at back then, RSI very overbought, move to the upside. You look at right now, move to the upside, and ADA very overbought. If I can find my brush is somewhere. So very overbought. This, and I'm going to explain the second exciting thing, but this is something we should have red flags on. Not bad red flags, but just, okay, we might be ready for retracement. I'm going to talk about what the targets to the downside look like if this happens. If this week, on this daily chart, if ADA starts falling down because it's so overbought, remember, this is what happened in that last cycle. But the second reason this is exciting is because if we look at the daily chart now, watch this. Right now, it looks like ADA is overbought, right? But the thing that I noticed when I was setting up this video is if you look at this, ADA, the 20-day moving average, obviously just crossed the blue line, the 50-day, so the green above the blue, and is approaching the 200-day moving average, right? So this cross did not happen yet, meaning we haven't had this 20-day crossing above the 200-day and the 50-day crossing above the 200-day. Back here on this chart, notice when ADA was overbought at this level. That had all just happened, right? So this time around, ADA's more, if we go look at the current ADA chart, right? So the 20 just crossed above the 50. We're slightly below the 200. ADA is kind of more like right around here, right? And if you look at the RSI at that moment, it was kind of just entering overbought. I'm bringing that up because there is a case, and we're going to look at the 6-hour chart even on the very short term. There is a case that ADA keeps pumping right now. Tonight, I'm talking about like on the very short term, and that's why I'm showing you that. Just because we're very overbought and we're in that similar overbought area that we were back then, doesn't mean ADA is definitely going to come back down just yet. The RSI can start coming back down, but price can keep going up, and there's a little bit of a hint of that in terms of these moving averages is what I'm saying. If we look at the 6-hour, check out the 6-hour. There's room for upside for another swing high on the 6-hour. This is going to be something that I'm watching going into tonight, into tomorrow. It's one of those things, right? When any crypto is pumping, it's putting in structure. There is nothing happening right here in terms of structure. It's just higher highs, higher lows. It's straight up. There's going to be a moment where it comes down. It's definitely going to happen. But in the journey, right? In this journey, it's kind of like, let it take a break, a 6-hour break, but it's just kind of wait and watch. And these RSIs and even these moving averages when it comes to the daily is telling me there's potential that ADA puts in another swing high. I don't have an immediate target in terms of what that looks like. If we go over here to the daily chart, here's what we know, and that is to say we have a main target to around 45 cents. Is ADA going to really make a 10-cent move in the short term? I don't really think it will. I think we're going to see a really big retracement on its way to 45 cents. But I will say this could keep going. We could top out a little bit higher than where we are right now, up into that, anywhere between 35 and 40 cents. Then we start preparing for the downside. And right now, as I do this video, here's what downside might look like. And I want to give you just a couple areas to watch because this is what I'm watching. And that is this. We have the moving averages. We always watch, especially when we get a 20-day crossing above the 50. We always watch, and now we have the 200 running into these moving average. We watch for a revisit to the moving average area, right? So right now we have the 20 and the 200 right around 29 to 30 cents. I think there's a very good area for ADA if it's going to retrace there. if you look at how big of a fall that would be from where ADA is right now, 29 to 30 cents, that's a big dip. That is like 15, maybe even a little bit more than 15% to the downside. These are the retracements that happen in bear markets, in between bear and bull markets, and in bull markets. These 10, 15, 20 or more percent dips, they happen. It's good to be prepared for them. It's good to evaluate and see where support is, to monitor to see if support holds. For me, these moving averages at 29 to 30 cent area is big for me. In that process, we'll see the 50-day in blue be pulled up into ADA price. And as kind of this fail-safe, more foundational support, we have our swing low to swing high, currently where it is, right back down to a Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci support is right around 28 to 26 cents or so. And the Fibonacci, you all know, especially when putting in structure, is so important to me. Swing low, swing high. Right now, it's in that general vicinity. I talk about structure because I really think ADA will fall eventually, whether it's the moving averages, maybe it's the Fibonacci. And then we have a new kind of area to monitor support and a bounce. And then what's the structure look like? It could be all over the place, right? It could be kind of like a symmetrical triangle. I'm always talking about symmetrical triangles. It could be it just falls and then kind of just trickles down, maybe more of like a falling wedge of some sort. These are the things that we'll monitor in the days ahead. This is a daily chart that we're watching, but I really wanted to talk about where support is right now, because I won't really be freaking out if ADA falls to 28, 29 cents, maybe even a little bit lower to the support area. That's where support is. This is what happens. A revisit to moving averages, especially when we have an RSI that looks like this on the daily. But I'm telling you, we're kind of in this area where ADA really could, on the 6 hour, it could put in another swing high on the RSI, on this momentum oscillator, go higher, maybe 37 cents, right? It's 36, 37 cents. But if it doesn't, don't be surprised. This is where I'm watching for support to the downside. One thing that I do know, though, is everybody, it's going to be really cool to see now. We have this move, right, playing out. It's playing out earlier than it did last cycle, right? So here's the red box last cycle. This move that we're monitoring, very similar, played out months later. And then if we look at the move now, we're still in the red rectangle. But not only that, the move is so similar to the COVID move. Now we're going to watch. If ADA does consolidate, what does it do? How does it interact? Hopefully we don't have some type of crazy, event similar to COVID to just do one of these again. Hopefully we just have a very just more common, no drama, technical analysis play out to see what would happen in this environment. That's kind of where we are. What's going to happen in this environment, especially for something like Cardano, where we have DeFi exploding. I mean, the DeFi space on Cardano it's just growing, and it's very bullish right now. Developer activity leading the way in terms of all of crypto. Cardano is very bullish right now. So what would retracement look like for Cardano? It's something I'm going to be monitoring. To the upside, I'm just watching. If it keeps going, I'm just going to keep watching and enjoying until it falls. And then we can start tracking more immediate structure. But do know, we have this move to the downside in play, and that doesn't mean our target to 45 cents is out. It just means it might take longer, which usually is the case, especially on big targets like this, out of pretty big patterns like this. It's usually not just straight up. I will say, though, if it happened, that would be extremely epic. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I really I don't think we're going to have daily candle green, daily candle green, daily candle green, just right to 45-cent target. But time will tell. We'll monitor. We'll catch it. We'll see. I wanted to break down the charts for you. I really appreciate you watching. Hit the subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I will see you in the next video. God bless.